preparing to collect sample. Are those potatoes?
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm Christina Jarvis, the lead program coordinator for NESB. In this video, you'll see our director, Robert Wingley, run through the components of the Roads on Mars challenge. All of our contact information is in the description box below, and we hope you'll sign up.
Here is actually a large-scale image of the Jezero crater where the Mars 2020 is expected to land. And you can see that it's in such a very large crater. There's even a moderately sized crater and some small craters around. But the most interesting feature for astrobiologists or people who are interested in life beyond Earth is this feature here, which is called an alluvial fan. And if you look at it, there looks like a nice little canyon streaming through here. And this feature here is typically produced on Earth by the action of water. And everywhere we've seen water, there's typically been life on Earth. So this is a good candidate to look for signs of potential life. So for you to participate in this challenge, we want you to understand the processes that form this feature so that you know what kind of science would be attainable. This is what the Mars 2020 scientists are doing. And so we start first here. We want you to look at how water processes change our landscape and how they might produce the same features here on the Mars 2020 landing site. And so here we have what's called a stream table. We have sand, and we want you guys to use your imagination to figure out storylines about what might be happening in your environment where we see these large storms that are occurring every single year. So we have a couple, this is just a plastic tub, 30 inches by about 18 inches. And we can show a homemade version, but basically we are going to have some play sand that's available from your hardware store, and we are going to make a river through this system. So I could actually have a little river flow through here, for example, to give the running water a start. But the question is, how does it evolve? How does it produce that kind of feature we see in it? So here's some water, and I'm going to cause flow of water down the system. And you'll see that, in fact, sometimes it breaks the riverbank, and you can see the formation of sand down at the bottom. And you'll see if you build it too close, or your organisms live too close to the bank of the river, that it might fall in. And that's why some of the peeps are looking a bit unhappy as we break through a second water channel into the system. Okay, so our guys, some of them are happy, some of them not so happy. We have this other big homemade table. So if there are students here which are really great at handicraft, we have a really big settlement, and then you can investigate how those systems will change. And you can use colored water. So this is just water with a little food dye to make life a little bit more interesting. And here we go. Wait a minute. And so you'll see again, we're cutting a river through banks. We're washing away the people that are too close to the edge. We just lost a couple of our communities. And you'll see that after I complete and stop the flow of water, we'll see a canyon form. And we have what's called an alluvial fan here. And you'll see things that were up there, upriver, flow down into the alluvial fan. So that's a good reason to look at the alluvial fan, is to see what was once upstream, what may have come downstream. And we have these stop valves to drain the water out, so I don't have enough water, so we're good to go. All right, the next feature, of course, is craters. And so what we want you to do is investigate how cratering forms. There are some neat experiments that you can do, and we have on our manual some websites that you can get some ideas. There's water on sand. You can do experiments with drops of milk into milk. I've done some great experiments where you just throw a rock into a nice quiet lake and see what the processes are. So we actually have two examples, and want you guys to have fun at looking at how craters might form. And you'll see there's two different, one is flat and one is at a slope. And the question is, do we see whether the craters are formed by vertical impacts or by angled impacts? And we encourage you to do this in slow motion. We're not going to do that today, but we are going to just whack it and see what happens. All right, so I've got these steelies, but a rock is just as good as anything. And so here we go. I'm going to get too close, camera. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and so you can see a fairly symmetric splash of dirt everywhere for it. Now, if I hit this angle one, you can do this experiment, and I'm having a lot of fun here. You should guys try this at home. Here we go. And we'll see that we killed our cameraman there, but you can see the splash. And it looks great in slow motion. So these are the types of processes we want you to investigate as we try and do the exploration of our surface. Now, the other thing is we talked about search for life. Now, we can't do exactly what the Mars 2020 is going to do, but we can have you guys search for invisible life forms that is not seen by human eyes, but at the very, very small scale. And for this, we're going to go to our field scientist.
Hi, I'm Kay. I'm one of the outreach coordinators for the Northwest Earth and Space Sciences Pipeline, and I'm going to be showing you our combustible gas detector. One of the potential signs of life we've seen on Mars so far is methane, which is a combustible gas. So we'll use this combustible gas detector to see what might be methane. Before I get started, I want to calibrate it. So it's very sensitive right now. I'm just gonna move this dial until it just barely picks up my breath. So it is too low. There we go. And let's see what I can find. Great.
All right, so now you see that we've been able to detect invisible gas. It's not coming from the leaves, but it's coming from the ground. And that's because of bacteria decay of products. And so that's an invisible sign of life. So the next step is, once you find these kind of areas where there's lots of organic signatures coming off, maybe search for small life forms. And going back to Kay, we encourage teams to look at, go dig into the area and see what kind of, so here we have a digital microscope. Kay's going to lead us through it.
So I went and got a sample from the ground earlier today, and we can see my little slug friend hanging out on the top of my dish here, actually. Do you see him? So I'm going to go take a closer look in my big screen here. And there is the belly of a slug.
Okay, so now you know the science behind it. That's what we want you to do. So that's parts 1 and 2 of the challenge. Understand the environment in which the processes form the landing site, and then looking for biological life science. So to be successful in this competition, you need a team of students that have all experiences on all different types of disciplines. Now, the next step, of course, is to look at the actual competition map. And I want to say that we also encourage students of all backgrounds, including those that might be sight impaired or coming from areas where you don't have access to the technologies, because there is financial support for teams. So don't be afraid of asking for support. We'll do our best. Can't guarantee we can do everybody, but we will do our best to try and support as many teams across the country for it. So let's go through what the map looks like. And for those that did the angles challenge last year, it's the same size, 8 by 10. We have the same sort of landing site, and you can see that we've picked the landing site just away from the alluvial span because it's going to be too rough for a lander. So here we have this landing zone, or called landing ellipse to be technical for it. We have here some red circles, which will actually in the competition be black, not red, so we apologize for that. But these are craters, smaller craters, and these regions, the robot for exploration cannot go into it. You can see that this year, we've actually made the map three-dimensional. So we have actually inserted here mountains that the rovers cannot pass through. They're going to be your obstacles that you're not allowed to pass through. So you can get a sense of the overall structure for the map and the region that you're going through. So here's our three front hill mountains, and here's actually part of the canyon that you're not allowed to cross. We have here on these green rectangles, the areas where you're going to pick these up. These are our samples for return. In Mars 2020, they're not going to pick up their sample, but they're going to leave them behind on the surface for hopefully return back to Earth. And in our challenge, you're going to do the same process. You not only have to pick these samples up, but then you have to return them to the green circles right here, okay? And then after you do that, you are going to have your rover come to this soil sample here, and you're going to stick a probe into that sample. For the middle schoolers, that would be just sticking a Lego block in, but for high schoolers, we require you to use a vernier caliper to take a humidity measurement for it. And then for the high schoolers as well, and optional for middle schoolers, but no points given, is to fly a mini drone such as this, so it's only about the size of the hand, and you're going to fly it off the deck of your lunar lander and fly it into the center of the crater, and then fly it back onto your rover. Now, before you actually get into all that rover driving around, there is a lot of good drone flying and construction that is required to do it. So part of the challenge, actually the challenge itself will be done in April of next year, which marks the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 13 mission. And as you are probably aware, to save themselves, they used a lot of ingenuity to create a fix for the broken systems that would have led them unable to complete the mission if they hadn't been able to successfully fix it. So we're going to get you guys to take 10 parts of your own choosing to build a structure. And in this case, we're asking you to build a radio disc. Now, I've pre-assembled it. The challenge requires you not to pre-assemble it. You can practice it, but you actually have to assemble it. It has to have 10 pieces, so you've got a few pieces here. We've got a square piece that you're required to have because that's part of the Apollo 13, and a round piece. So in my case, I'm going to assemble this, and I'm going to put it here, okay? And so now I have a sample radio disc. So what's going to happen is that you guys are going to assemble it, but our drone pilot here, Tedrick, is going to, what the challenge is that you're going to fly your lander, and we're recycling our lunar lander, so apologies, but you should be trying to create a Mars 2020 landing craft And you're going to fly just like the real systems to orbit Mars. And you're not allowed to break orbit from Mars until you have completed construction of your communication disk. And then once you've done an orbit, constructed your communication disk, put it on the yellow circle here, it's at that point that your pilot can land its drone on the landing area. So take it away. All right, so flying is now in orbit. I will place my constructed communication disk. This you might want to personalize it. I'm going to personalize it with an anti sticker. My construction is no good, so we can't break orbit, so I fix it. Standing. And then I'm going to put the anti sticker on the front of it. All right, and I'm still not stable. All right, I've got stable system, break orbit and land. Holy cool. All right, that happens. All right, now once we've landed, you will have your robotics expert take over.
All right. So I'm John, I'm a PhD student here at the University of Washington, and I've been helping out, trying out different robots to make sure that you can actually complete the challenges. So today the robot we're going to focus on put together is this one, which I designed to do for the sample collection. Now it's not the best design because it doesn't use all the sensors it should be using, but I think I've gotten it to where we can get the job done today. So if we're ready, we can give it a shot. All right, let's go.
Go rover.
Uh-oh.
All right. Oh, okay, it's back.
All right, so it looks like it got caught on something, so it's not quite making its steering properly, but let's see if it can return the samples anyway. All right, so that's pretty close.
All right, now we continue on to take the soil sample and then fly into it. And that would be the basic challenge for it. For communities that do not allow drones, we're allowing beanbag toss. So maybe you can toss a beanbag from the control station to Mars, do your construction, and then do a beanbag toss. We want to be as inclusive as possible. If you have problems, please communicate with us. And again, you'll see that we're actually recycling the maps from angles. So if you want to save some money, we'll give you the image of this map, and you can actually draw it on the backside of your lunar map that you might have used last year. It'll save everyone a lot of money if you can do it. I'd like to introduce you to Christina. She is going to be one of your main interfaces for the challenge, and if there are questions, Christina can introduce herself.
Hello. I think Mary might have questions, so if you haven't already, go ahead and type those into the chat, and Robert and I are here to answer any of those.
Doesn't look like Mary is not signaling any questions, so we are.
What does someone need to do if they want to host the challenge in their community?
They need to contact me.
Repeat the question.
What does somebody need to do if they would like to host the challenge in their community? So if they would want to be a hub, they need to email me. My email is on the website, but just so you know, here it's cjarb as in Victor @uw.edu. And Mary's going to write it in the chat. And email me to let me know that you're interested. I'm going to send you a document with all the stuff that are your responsibilities, and then we can go back and forth and answer any of your questions.
And this year we're doing it in conjunction with the school year. So if your whole school wants to get together, great, to try and undertake the challenge, we more than encourage that. And then maybe the school can then nominate the best leading teams from that school or from that school district.
Another question, how do we buy the 3D map online?
How do we buy the 3D map online? So that's another one where you're going to email me and I will give you instructions. Basically, if we do it the same way as last year, it will be me connecting you with our vendor, which is Seattle Design and Print, and they will need your address and the quantity that you want, and they will give you a quote based on that information. Is that what you were talking about?
And then we'll provide some triangles. Strictly speaking, you don't need the 3D part, except we make that especially for sight impaired people so that they can get a feeling for where the objects are. But we'll have black rectangles on the map so that you can just avoid them for it. So you don't necessarily need it. We can provide cutouts for our crater. This doesn't have to be on vinyl. This is just done on heavy duty paper. And so we can provide the two pieces for cutout to create the crater for you. But again, there will be, as you can see, a circle so you can actually practice the circles for it.
A couple of questions about dates. When will the challenge be running? Are there preferred dates for the local challenges? And do you have the Washington challenge schedule?
We do have the Washington challenge scheduled. When is it going to be? It depends on where you are and where your hub is. For example, in Washington, ours is going to be on April 5th. And the others may hover around that, but it will depend on when your school's testing is, and so that's why it's regional. And the third question was?
Just when is the challenge running for our mentioned school year?
So we are running it, so registration will open today. Hopefully with no glitches.
Registration might not be ready till tomorrow or Wednesday.
Tomorrow or sometime this week, and it'll go until December 15th or so. So you have plenty of time to decide it. We do have, for those teams that are organized, a whole lot of mini challenges to go through so that it encourages students to participate early, get some neat swag from us.
So one thing, when we went through all of those demonstrations with the water going over the sand and then the crater, and those are the activities that Robert is talking about. And those activities we have write-ups for so that you can follow a procedure and know what all of the materials that you'll need are. And if you do them in order and you qualify for support, you need to show that you've done the first activity to get the materials for the next activity, and so on. And again, if you qualify for support, then ultimately you will receive a drone or a robot or both if you don't have either.
Yeah, let me qualify. So if you complete those exercises, as Christina said, you can qualify for the combustible meter and a digital microscope. So that's a win for everyone if you could achieve that. If you then complete that exercise and submit your information on time, that's the key thing, submit your information on time, then you may qualify for receiving a Lego Mindstorm and a drone. Again, the drones are undiscounted from goods supplier Force One, fabulous collaboration. And for high school teams, I think we've decided if you submit all those components on time, no matter what, we'll provide you with a mini drone for high school students. And you can see my grotty hands. Okay, but they will be provided to high school teams if you manage to meet the deadlines. Just keep everybody interested. So there is definitely a sequence going on for participation.
Any other questions?
All right. We look forward to seeing you at the regional challenges.
Are we using Google Drive for the hubs, for the documents?
Yes, and we have one for educators. We are using Google Drive for the documents, and we have another Drive folder for educators.
And the manual is online, right?
Manual is on, you put the draft manual is online right now. We'll probably twiddle it a little bit, but it's basically as is, except for the corrections I meant about the coloring on the map. Legal disclaimers.
Any others before we head out?
All right, we'll see you soon, guys.